Here it comes.
Okay. And then I will admit all now. And then if we can turn off the waiting room. Okay, I'm gonna, do you see a disable waiting room there?
No. Where is this? Who's organized this?
Okay. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
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 Welcome. Hi, Clara. Hi, everybody.
Hi. Hi.
Hi.
Okay, I'm gonna try to disable the waiting room now.
I'm just admitting people.
Here it is. It's on host tools. Wow, we have 53 people already. Hello, welcome. We're going to give everybody a couple of minutes to log in. I can see our friends in CLIA. There is that Kim. Hey, Kim. I can see Simon from Vistatech. I can see Alexandra. Lots of people here today. Wonderful. We're excited to have you all. Fantastic. Okay. So now if I shut that, hopefully you can see, can you guys see me and the first slide?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so I guess we get started.
Mets ça dans la poubelle du bas, hein, parce qu'elle a dû vider celle de la cuisine.
Bonjour,
Non.
Canada.
Ah oui.
On vous attend. Hi, everybody. This is Robert Martin of Magic Beans Agency.
Oui, mais je vais baisser.
me.
Après, ils vont me l'envoyer normalement.
Okay, maybe we can mute.
Pascal.
Yeah. Okay.
We're gonna mute all, and then anyone can unmute if they want to talk. Wonderful. Okay, everybody. So this is Robert Martin here from Magic Beans Agency. You may recognize me from movies such as Reclaim 1, Reclaim 2, the Magic Beans Agency Tech Club, the Magic Beans Agency Sales Club, and various presentations around the industry, some better than others. Today's going to be a great one. We are super excited to have you all here today to discuss 3 practical measures to superpower your AI strategy. And we're also going to do a little review of Reclaim 3, which, as most of you know, is the 3rd iteration of our specially designed AI upskilling course for language service companies. So we're about 2 weeks out now. We're starting again on September the 19th. And we're going to be talking about that course as well a little bit. So I'm joined today by our team of AI experts and people experts as well, who work with me in Magic Beans Agency. And you can see the faces on the screen right now, and hopefully I'm going to get them to, well, let me tell you what we're going to be doing first of all. So I'm going to share screen, and let's see if we can move forward. Okay, I'm going to go to content only because this is not working otherwise. Slide control.
We can see the main screen.
Yeah, I'm just trying to work out how to move it forward. Okay.
We can tell the summer happened recently, right? We're out of practice with our presentations.
Okay, I'm going to unshare again, maybe. Entire screen. Here we go. Let's try that. Okay, I'm going to try this way. And we're off. Okay, so what are we going to cover today? So some brief introductions. Then we're going to go into the 3 practical measures that you guys can apply in your language service company straight away. We're going to do a short review of Reclaim 3 and then answer any questions you might have. So you guys can ask us questions about the course, about the topics that we're going to cover today, or you can throw any curveballs at us as well. And as I say, we're super excited to have you guys here. So I'm gonna, as I said, my name is Robert Martin. I'm the founder of Magic Beans Agency. I started the company about 9 years ago with the goal of trying to help LSCs to thrive and prosper And that continues to be our mission statement today. We're literally here to help you guys do well and to feel good about what you're doing. What I'm going to do is introduce you to my colleague Rita next, who is our strategic talent leader and who's going to help me to drive this webinar today. Rita, do you want to say hello?
Hi, everybody. Here I am, your host. As if you have seen me around in the Magic Beans initiatives, usually I am the host, which means on a practical level that I'm going to be monitoring the chat and taking care of any questions that you might have before we actually open the mic and the floor at the end so that you can actually ask your questions viva vox. But for now, if you want to start asking questions, because if I know my crew well, they will ask every 10 minutes or 15 if there are any questions that should be addressed at that moment. So feel free to do that. If not, you can wait and ask your questions at the end. I have been with Magic Beans for about 2 years. And above all, I care about languages and talent. Thank you so much for being here. And I'll be talking to you using the chat. Thank you.
Okay, then we're joined by Laura Casanellas, who is our senior partner for AI and language technology solutions. Laura, do you want to say hello?
Hello, everybody. Here we are again with Reclaim 3. This time we have great support, so I'm not going to delivering the course myself or most of the course myself. I work very closely with Robert and all our colleagues in Magic Beans. And yeah, I mean, I suppose I am in charge of making sure all our clients are supported from the point of view of technology. So very happy to be here.
And we're absolutely thrilled to have our two newest additions to our Magic Beans agency community. I want to welcome Lena Marg and Elaine Curran, who are joining us, and they are going to be our lead presenters for a lot of the sessions on Reclaim 3. Lena, would you like to say hello first?
Yeah, sure. Hello. Hi, everybody. Nice to meet you. My name is Lena. I'm based in London, UK. Started collaborating with Magic Beans just before the summer, really. Talking about this Reclaim course, and it's something I'm very excited about. I've got 20 years roughly experience in the machine translation and now AI space, talking about labels. And I've done lots of trainings in the past. And yeah, I'm here to help you talk about all these topics: transitioning, upskilling, navigating that world out there. So I look forward to talking to you.
And last but definitely not least, we have Elaine Curran, who is our North American correspondent, if we want to call her that. She's over there on the East Coast of the USA. Elaine, would you like to say hello?
Hello, everyone. Yes, this is Elaine calling in from Boston, Massachusetts. I'll be the AI implementation consultant, helping deliver the course Reclaim 3.0. I'm really looking forward to it. Like Lena, I have about 25 years in localization experience, and the last 12 years spent exclusively, as an MT program manager, now moving towards AI, of course. We've worked with so many different clients, so many different tech stacks, so many different content types. I really think we'll be able to, add some value to this course, Robert, and help, other LSPs basically, manage kind of the new situation that they're dealing with AI, et cetera, et cetera. Glad to be here.
Wonderful. And so basically, guys, we're going to be your companions probably throughout the course of the 10 weeks of Reclaim 3 as well. We already have between 20 and 30 companies who have signed up. Today, we're going to dive into three specific measures or strategies that you can take away and start implementing immediately. And then obviously, we're going to get into these topics in a lot more detail as we go through the next 10 weeks, or those 10 weeks starting from September the 9th. So the team and I have decided to look at these three topics for today. We're going to talk about implementation methodologies on various levels, which our tech ladies will be very happy to talk you through. We're going to talk about the fact that we need to change the conversations that we've been having Our reality, as most of you are very much aware, is changing rapidly. We're being challenged by tech disruptors, by changing client expectations, etc. And so the conversations that we're having with our clients, with our teams, with our partners also need to change. And then, of course, we're going to talk about bringing people along with you, upskilling, the importance of making sure that everybody in your organization is on the same page and ready to face the current reality and indeed the future reality. So without any further ado, we're going to jump into the first topic. And this one, I think, was a Laura topic originally. And so maybe Laura would like to take over and speak for a little while.
Well, I suppose we can all chip in because I suppose we all are knowledgeable about this topic for sure. So from my point of view, in relation to this topic, I see time and time again. I mean, I see clients that come back after, a few years, and sometimes they say, we are not quite fully, there yet. And it's all related to unsystematic, I suppose, application of the technology. So before it was machine translation, now is AI generated translation, but there are many other, I suppose, technologies and services that can be deployed. They could be quality estimation. They could obviously, I suppose, something that is pushing forward at this moment is automatic post editing as well, just to name few. So basically, I mean, I call it, when I talk to my clients and they kind of look at me, what are you talking about? I call it implementation protocol. You can call it anything, roadmap, documentation, whatever it is. But you need to have a systematic approach to implementation, learn from it, and then deploy it all across. And I suppose train your people on this implementation. They don't need to think about it anymore. It has been tested, it has been evaluated. Now they know if this comes, we are going to use this workflow, or we are going to use this maybe provider, etc. So for me, it's one of the most important things, and we really, I suppose, insist on this topic in the course. So I'm pretty sure that Elaine or Lena would like to add something to this topic. Elaine, I think you had a couple of things as well that you added to the topic, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, this is probably for us, I guess, the most important part of the course, just to guide people to set some boundaries, especially, I think, whenever there is a major, I think, shift in technology, it can cause, on the one hand, maybe paralysis. People don't know what to do. They don't know where to start. On the other hand, it can also cause to, rush decision making, where you make decisions very rashly without really, thinking about what you're doing, and maybe going down the wrong track, buying new tools, and creating problems down the road. So I think this is probably, for me, extremely important, when it comes to provider selection, the approach to the evaluation themselves, and then how you pilot and implement, into your production workflow, of course. So that's what we're going to cover in the course, of course. We don't want to give away too much at this point. But this is pretty much what, Lena and I have been doing, for the last 10, 15 years for, a variety of clients. Yeah, and longer, a variety of clients, tech stacks, et cetera, et cetera. And we really hope that that experience, will come in handy to share with other companies.
And so is the idea then that, our participants or our LSCs then are able to define the methodologies that are best suited to their company, their people, their target clients, and that they can basically reuse those methodologies again and again, or that a subset of their people can use them and maybe other people don't need to worry about them as much?
I think the main idea is that within these, let's say, provider selection, we'll give a sort of an overview of what criteria are important to consider and why. And then I think within all of these areas, then so what sort of we'll explain the theory behind it, as it were, the theory as to how these came about, what the logic is behind them, and then from there, how to set your own scorecard or your own selection methods. And I think, like just like you said, Robert, I think that's important. Everybody will have slightly different ways of going about it for different reasons. You know, some approaches are more costly or more time efficient or require different skill sets maybe within your company. And they also produce different outcomes. So it's also really important that it's not just about, yeah, it's also really knowing what you're trying to figure out, which problem are you trying to answer, what answer do you want to have, and then with that in mind, you can then create your methodology or choose from the available ones. Which one do you think is the one you're going to go forward with? Like some things might just take a month, something might take 6 months, right? So how quickly do you need to see results as well? And then making sure that that allows you essentially to repeat and track and iterate over time. So you can always go back to where you started and have I progressed? Have I, have I made progress or not? Based on some benchmark that I set myself at the very beginning of any of these, the provider selection or evaluating models or evaluating outputs and so on.
I guess this is really important as well for us from a sales and marketing and confidence perspective as well, right? Because we have to maintain our position as the experts. We know that our clients are all under pressure to introduce AI or LLMs or new technologies, but of course, they may not be as aware of the capabilities, the limitations as LSCs. If we can show that we've done the research, we've done the evaluations, we know what works, what doesn't work, we maintain our position as the expert, and we also give our clients maybe that degree of extra confidence so they can go back to their boss and say, hey, we're with the right team, we're with the right people, they know what they're doing, essentially.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think, I mean, and this is sort of what will come up in the other two topics that we chose for today as well, is this idea of not sort of sitting on the back foot or sort of saying, whatever, AI, I don't like AI, I'd rather not work with AI, but amplifying your own conversation and saying, I understand these metrics now, or if a client isn't methodological in their approach, methodical, you can then go back and say, I would recommend that, maybe here's a suggestion, instead of going about it like this, how about you change your sample size, you change the number of X, and you can, as long as you understand the parameters, you can be a proper partner to your customer and advise them on how they can do things properly and not, not waste money essentially from their end. Sort of if they do a pilot and it doesn't give them the answer that they're looking for, if you've advised them with your knowledge, then that's helpful for everybody in the end.
I'm sure a lot of people on the call have already had the can you please fix this scenario where people have gone off and thrown things into different engines or uh, LLMs, and they've said, okay, we got this, but we know it needs work. And so if we can get to people in the right time frame and show them we've already done the implementation evaluations and all of this kind of thing, then we're a step ahead. Okay, so if people have questions about this topic, maybe pop them into the chat. Obviously, during the course of the 10 weeks, the ladies will be covering a lot of different technologies. One thing that we can say is that there's a lot of content, whether it's with regard to automatic translation, multimedia, quality estimation or evaluation, different tools and technologies. So the methodologies that you guys will be using will be important, and we'll be covering this topic in a lot more detail, as mentioned. So I think we can move on to probably the next topic, which, let's see if we can move here again. Okay. Right. Your clients need you more than ever, even if they don't know it yet. Change the conversation, change the conversations. I have my own kind of points and thoughts about this one from a sales perspective. what would you guys like to say from a, let's say, an operational perspective or from a production perspective?
I'll just start myself very briefly. So I suppose basically everybody can use ChatGPT now, and clients included. So there was a mystery around machine translation. Maybe when we all started, too much mystery, so people were afraid of it, and they were like, I don't want to hear about it. But still there was a mystery. And now we all use AI, so we know what it is. At least we know it in in an overall kind of superficial way. And of course, clients think, and not only clients think, and you've seen it, I'm pretty sure that, you, like if I say how many people have heard clients saying, I can do it myself now. But it's not only I can do it myself, is I just got myself an account for whatever, and here is the content, the output. Sometimes the output, of course, is not customized. You could possibly get, and this is something that is happening, I suppose, to me, with a group as we speak, we can produce better output because we can customize the systems very well. So there has to be, again, a conversation there with the client, of course, because you can do a much better job. That's the key. Like, I mean, we are the experts, and localization is not only AI. There are many other things maybe an end client is not aware of, and maybe they should begin to be. Another thing, another phenomenon I'm seeing recently, and I'm pretty sure everybody in the call has seen, is this kind of review of AI content. So we are moving very fast from post editing, which is, I suppose, something that is quite structured and follows very specific rules, to this word review. Sometimes it could be even monolingual review, so review this target. This is obviously very dangerous, and also very, the pay, like obviously the requests for rate discount is very demanding as well. So again, like if we are moving to a service-based type of consultancy-based type of work that we offer, do we need to just drop the word rate and move on to something more maybe organic? So anyway, those are some of the thoughts. And we will be, of course, talking about them during the sessions. And Robert has a couple of sessions related to, to talking directly to clients, etc. So there will be a lot, of this on those sessions.
I read speak as well about how the fact that the LLMs and obviously AI tools are based on training data, right? And so because many of them are using similar data sets that are maybe in existence at the moment, that also tends to flatten a lot of the richness, a lot of the creativity, a lot of the originality that, for example, brands want to go for, right? So when we think about a client request, clients request work from us for different reasons, for a particular business impact, or for compliance reasons, or maybe for legal reasons they have to provide some kind of language access, right? But in many cases, and we see this ourselves even in English, right? When we use an LLM to create content, what we don't necessarily want to do is to sound like everybody else as well, right? So as LSCs, we are in the unique position of providing inputs and the right data and style guides and terminology and instructions that can improve the quality of these LLMs as well. I did write a couple of comments myself, also about changing the conversation from a sales perspective. Of course, that old chestnut, as LSCs, the services, the solutions that we provide have to be aligned with the business outcomes requested by the client, or the growth goals requested by the client. And again, I've been talking to different people about engagement models recently. And for me, it's very important when we're talking to these clients to understand if, okay, is this work that you're requesting coming from a strategic goal or business outcome that you're looking for, or is it just you're ticking a box? Because if they're just ticking a box, then that's going to influence what kind of solution they might be prepared to pay for, right? Another point to bear in mind is the change of owner. We are living in the age of the tech disruptors, right? Whether it's a bubble, a wave, whatever it is you want to call it, the technology teams have taken over in recent years. A few years ago, it was marketing. Marketing is still very important, but marketing is now being told, okay, let's get IT to help you. Let's get IT to give you more scale, more reach. So the question is, as LSCs, are we friends with the IT team? Are we talking to the CTO, the tech managers, the technical people in the companies? If we're not, we probably should be. Similarly, are we talking to the decision makers in these companies, or are we still talking to the project manager who's been asked to outsource this stuff and get 4 different quotations from 4 different providers, right? Another point to bear in mind, and ladies, feel free to jump in and interrupt me. Most companies are experimenting with AI. They need data, and they need multilingual data. And as the gatekeepers of quality, or the gatekeepers of correctness, we're in a position to provide that data. But are we having those conversations? I'm not sure. For me, something that we often discuss recently is, of course, the per word pricing model. Is it valid? Is it sustainable? I know a lot of you will feel that it is no longer sustainable. So we have to start charging in other units, right? Whether it's hours with the minimum profitability, days, different units. We will be talking about these topics in a lot more detail throughout the course, because these are real fundamental issues that will come up again and again. And of course, in order to create more value, to create different pricing models, we want to create differentiated service levels, different packages. So whether we're talking about basic, business, premium, whatever the different service levels will be, these are all things that we will go throughout the course, and some stuff that we do on a one-to-one basis with our clients as well. Bearing in mind that we're always going to need the low-cost solution. We're always going to have the tire kickers who want the cheap option, right? So we need to have that solution there too, but making sure that there is a minimum viable margin for our LSCs. We still have to pay our staff. We still have expenses to pay. And I just put in the point, which I think we sent in one of our marketing emails. There was a big flurry of excitement in social media recently when they showed that OpenAI were recruiting a localization manager and paying $300,000 a year. And if OpenAI is looking for a localization manager, so do many of our clients. So they all need the human expertise. They know that technology alone is not enough. I don't know, ladies, if anyone wants to add anything else based on the inputs here.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's what you were both already saying, is this idea of really the conversation is sort of changing in the sense that there's a lot of testing, I guess, on buyer side with just generating output in a target language, let's say. So moving away from this idea of translating and just putting content out in however many languages. And that's of course then a big game changer if we specialize in translation per se. But within that, there's still a lot, like you were just saying, of expertise that LSCs bring to that, because in a way, if you think in a company now generating content in 40 languages directly in market, my personal sense is that the whole quality conversation is going to open up again. So how do we assess that then? Who is going to assess that? Because we already struggled in the past, at least from my experience, with in-country marketing teams assessing quality, and how do we define that, and who's right and who's wrong, and what's and ultimately, of course, it's people selling a product, and it has to fit with their style guides and with what they're selling and their user base. So that's the final criteria. But who stands over that, and how do you measure that? So as we're sort of reopening up this can of generating content quite quickly potentially, and maybe even different flavors of the same output for different use cases. How is that assessed and who does that? And I think that's sort of an area where all of you here in the call, I think many of you have decades of experience in the language industry. So, you know, really kind of being vocal about that experience and sharing that with people that is still very valid. Whether it's a monolingual process and then flagging maybe where the pitfalls are and that the challenges, and making suggestions on how we can, you know, still stand over quality, and where is it the right fit? You know, sometimes people might make assumption on what they think is the right quality for a certain workflow or process or product. But your experience would be super valuable in actually guiding customers there.
Yeah. Another thing I would just add briefly before we move on is that the big buzzword at the moment in all of these companies is digital transformation, you know, and digital means online, and digital means content and info. And again, all of this is written or audio or multimedia or what's the word, like taxonomies of segmented content. All of this is like information which has to be properly localized and improved and polished and used properly. So, you know, there's a glimmer of hope there. If we can align ourselves with the right people, there are certainly some really interesting use cases coming up. So I'm going to move on to our third takeaway, or our third point, basically, which is that AI is disrupting every aspect of your business. Upskill your team, all of them, which of course is directly related to the Reclaim course. I wanted to quote, though, this survey that LinkedIn just released last week. So this is a broad survey which LinkedIn carried out for, I guess, users of their site. 51% of respondents said that learning AI feels like another job on top of the role. People are feeling overwhelmed. So the mentions of feeling overwhelmed are up by 82% this year. 33% of people admit that they felt embarrassed about how little they understood AI, and 35% feel nervous about talking about it. And of course, there's an impact on the well-being. What was interesting was the silver lining, which people said that 43% of people said that their network, the colleagues, their peers, their contemporaries, like this community that's on the call today, is their number one source for advice, ahead of search engines or other AI tools. So 64% say that colleagues help them to make decisions faster, more confidently. And that's one of the things I wanted to point out about what we're trying to do here, is that when we bring you guys together as a community on a call every week to talk about these topics in detail, not only are you learning from our experts, our technical consultants, but you're learning from each other's. So you're going to have a group of maybe 30, 40 LSPs in different verticals, different countries, using different tool sets with their own unique use cases and interests. So our past participants have really appreciated this collective learning experience and learning from each other as well. And of course, we've already talked about why this topic is so important to our industry, right? So we will be sharing the slides and the recording of today with you guys later on, and you can check that survey out for yourselves. I don't know, ladies, would you like to add anything else about upskilling and why it's important to bring people along with you?
I think this is
sorry.
Elena's topic. Just mentioning, I suppose very briefly, that before, I think you could get away with maybe training your linguist in post-editing practices and then having somebody over the implementation of AI. But now AI is kind of everywhere. So, you know, it is good to know how to use it and when to use it. That's all. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I made sort of three fairly obscure, potentially bullet points. I'm not sure if they even speak for themselves, but I think sort of a bit like the LinkedIn survey showed. Yeah, people, it feels like a second job, right? You just don't have the time. Everybody's super busy as it is. So how are you then supposed to also upskill yourself on AI? And I think there sort of we can talk about some mechanisms there. How can leadership support? What can you put in place to maybe not just encourage people and say, hey, I want you to implement or play with AI, but what can you actually maybe in terms of tangible processes put there to support your workforce. Then I'll do the third one first, AI and more. And we were talking about this the other day. Upskilling, I mean, here we're talking about upskilling in AI, but it's really broader than that. It's not just AI. I mean, we all love to talk about AI, but upskilling is just even, I don't know, it's not localization basics, but it's a lot of like even what Robert talks about, sales or, you know, business strategic thinking. I think are sort of upskilling into every direction. So if we've noticed over the years that sometimes linguists, I mean, we've got such a fragmented, long supply chain in localization. And if you're very far removed from certain conversations, then it's not always clear why something is done a certain way. So rather than only focusing on, I need to understand how AI works or what is post-editing, also understanding the financial implications and what the customers are looking for so that everybody on your team has a fuller picture and can really contribute to that conversation, and then kind of better ideas will come out of it. The label change, I think that's sort of almost a bit philosophical, I think, but everybody here will be aware that there's so much conversation around things like human in the loop, human-centered, all these things that play into this to an extent, you know, and are we changing? Are we still translators? Are we linguists? Are we AI experts? Like, which label should people give themselves? How important is it that everybody has AI initials in front of their title, as it were? You know, sort of it's, and some of them I think are pure label. I mean, there might be pure label changes, but pure label changes have an impact anyway. And we can talk about that more in the course. You know, sort of changing the way you sell yourself has an impact with your counterpart. But then obviously there's the genuine upskilling. So, you know, like taking courses on fundamentals, or like I said, topics in localization more generally.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember in the past, I think it was Nimsy that talked about the three pillars of an LSP were project management, quality management, and vendor management. It feels like now the three pillars are almost language operations or language production, technology, and maybe sales and marketing. It's like if you're not into those three pillars, it's going to be very difficult for you to succeed as an LSE in the current reality, right? So you need to have the language operations, which I know the people on the call are experts at already. But the technology topic, the sales and marketing topic are just so crucial these days. And, you know, that's why we're here. What we could do right now, guys, is we're kind of just over halfway through. We could check to see if there's any questions from the audience. If anybody wants to open their mics or, you know, let us know. If there's any questions right now, we can start to answer a few. Risa, do we have any comments or questions in the chat?
Well, the first question just came in, and then we have a couple of comments. So let's start with the first one because my window is really small. I can only see two bubbles each time. So we have Caroline Remmer, maybe. And she asks about the course specifically, will there be any focus on interpreting in the 3.0 course?
Very little is the answer. We have a community of people in our Magic Beans agency community who are planning a webinar on AI assisted interpretation, but it's not the focus of this course because up to now, written text-based localization has been the major focus of the technologies, I suppose. And so it's not the main focus in this course. We did try to make that clear on the landing page and in the communications that we've sent out. But just to be very, very transparent, it's not a big part of the content.
May I add something, Robert? I mean, because we have been asked a couple of times, we may have something in the future specifically for interpreting. And also, I suppose we are going to launch a different type of course. I don't know if I am allowed to say a little bit about it. Rita is one of the driving forces of that course. It's more, I suppose, related to linguists, let's say, rather than the whole company. And there we will have one session specifically, I suppose, focusing on interpreting.
Super.
Yep. then we have someone who actually is thanking Laura. So I'll read it because I think it's relevant. So it says, I want to thank you, Laura, for giving me advice a year ago to bring our operations manager to attend these events. Changed the whole approach to the current situation. Obviously, people sometimes need this little push, right? And to be exposed to a group of people who are in the same boat, and so they can have some encouragement and advice. There you go, Laura. So you changed the course of operations.
Thank you very much, Zoom user. We don't know who you are, but anyway, we thank you. I suppose for me, what we try to do in Reclaim is to be as practical as possible and to kind of reach to as many people in the company as possible. And sometimes I used to say, okay, this is more for decision makers, this is more for technical people, so people can know, let's say. But this is the whole, I suppose, ethos of this course. Yeah.
So Mike Devlin, I suppose, asks, does the course cover anything about current and future ISO certifications relating to AI with LSPs?
That's a good question. Yeah, sorry, Laura, go on.
It is a good question.
So we have a great contact, I suppose, who did the course with us, who is in the committee of, and they are revising the latest ISO certification. We can, I mean, they are forever trying to, I suppose, update it, but as far as I know, this hasn't happened yet. But we can come back with some information, at least with some information related to this. Yes.
So we can integrate it basically. We can make it a part to our latest knowledge, as it were. Thanks to your question.
There is a new act from the EU, which I think it's called the AI Oversight Act or something like that, which requires companies to be able to demonstrate that any AI systems that they're using have human oversight. And that is going to be a legal requirement in the EU. I don't know if it's already in force, but it will. So basically, I think you've seen examples probably in the media already, like if there's an AI chatbot or an AI solution somewhere and it provides incorrect information or an incorrect service, the company is liable essentially. And so companies now need to prove that any systems that they are providing either externally or internally have human oversight. So that's on the European side of things, maybe not as urgent for those of you who are in North America. There's some information up on the screen about the course, and again, you guys are all very welcome to open your mics and cameras. We'd love to talk to some of you. So just for anyone who doesn't know already, the course starts on September the 19th. You have 10 modules specifically designed for you. The timing is at 3 p.m. CET, 2 p.m. GMT, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Your company registration covers all team members. And as the ladies were talking earlier on, if we want as many of your team members as possible to benefit from the content, and we believe it is important to bring your team along with you. But of course, you can decide how you want to disseminate that information as well. We give you the recordings, we give you the summaries, and we give you additional resources each Monday. We also give you the opportunity to submit homework exercises if you wish. With those recordings, you can summarize them yourselves. You can take whatever it is you want to. You can discuss with your teams internally. We really don't mind. You essentially get access to our team for the duration of the 10 weeks. So if you have other questions that we're not answering, you can also contact us. As I said, you learn from our experts and you learn from your contemporaries who are also participating. We also have a LinkedIn group with the Reclaim 1 and 2 participants that you can also start to interact with. And then in terms of payment options, I think the pricing is up on the website, but I just wanted to mention for those smaller companies who want flexible payment options, we have that option to pay by installment as well. So those are kind of, so Stephen's asking, what does one registration for all team members mean? So Stephen, what that means is you pay one price, one invoice, and everybody in your company can attend the meetings and access the recordings. So whether you're 2 people, 10 people, 500 people. We have one pretty big LSP already registered. Everybody can access the come along to the meetings every Friday and also access the recordings.
So the Canadian Language Industry Association is actually apparently doing a series of webinars about ISO standards. The information is in the chat, and we can include also this information, obviously, when we send out our materials to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll just move on to the next slide in case people have questions about the content. Hopefully you guys can see that. So we have 10 modules. The introduction, which covers a lot of content and tries to bring everybody up to speed with the basics. And again, ladies, if you want to interrupt me, please go ahead. Automatic translation, which is the core function of what a lot of us are being asked to do in a lot of detail. Evaluating, implementing solutions. The role of the language experts and how your language experts, your linguists, your professionals fit into the new workflows. Production workflows and introducing technologies into the production workflows. AI for sales and marketing. So I'll be doing a session on how you can use different AI technologies to generate leads, to increase customer intimacy, to have better conversations, and more kind of lead development with your clients. Selling AI-enabled services and different models, different options that we would encourage you to explore. Use of AI and technologies for quality management, including estimation, evaluation, quality assurance, AI for multimedia localization, which is really exciting because number one, it's very impressive. Number two, audiovisual is exploding. And then it introduces some really cool things that linguists can do. And then finally, we'll all be participating in a session on putting together your AI strategy. Does anybody on the call have any questions about the course content? You're all very quiet today. We like to be challenged and interrupted, and we like the occasional accusation and all this kind of thing as well. So feel free.
Be careful what you ask for. You know, the course is
Yes.
coming. Everybody will have the chance to do that.
I can see we're still on 66 people in the call, so I'm glad to see everybody's still engaged. But yeah, anyone has any random questions about AI that you want to throw to our experts, you feel free. We're very excited. This is our third time. We're excited to have new partners with CLIA and the ALC, and I think we have our partners from the ATC on the line as well. So yeah, we're going to be looking forward to meeting lots of you again on September the 9th. Okay, so
Alexandra just put in the chat the screenshot with the price ranges, I suppose.
okay, brilliant. I think there's a question there from Olivia.
Yeah. So I suppose, Olivia, this is not, let's say, like the second part of Reclaim. It is Reclaim. We just, I suppose we are doing it a third time. We are running it a third time because it has had quite a lot of success, and we see that people want to join and go through it. But of course, what we do in this case, we bring fresh blood, if I may say that. So in the form of Elaine and Lena, who have a great experience, and they will be, of course, adding their own touches and talking about their own experiences, etc. And then, of course, we update everything because this goes so fast. So we try to be as updated as possible on what is working now, what is happening now. Yeah.
One thing that I would like to add is I can't guarantee a Reclaim 4 at this moment. So if you're deliberating, if you're thinking, please don't hesitate. Come to us, talk to us, try to get in now. We will have new offers, we will have new courses and trainings coming down the line, but we can't commit to definitely repeating things in the new year because things are moving so quickly, as Laura said. People have new expectations, there are new technologies, new topics that people want to explore. So if in doubt, register now. Yes, we've given you the opportunity to ask any questions. Again, happy to hear people or see you guys on camera. For next steps, I'm putting the links up here to register, which I think many of you have already. If you want to write to us with questions, you have this link as well, which is letstalk@magicbeansagency.com. And of course, we will share today's recording with you. And thank you all for participating.
We have we have
Yeah.
one last minute question. The answer is yes, of course, but would you say this course could be beneficial and also realistically implemented by a small LSC in Italy with 2 partners and no employees?
The answer is yes. Of course it is. Absolutely, yes. I mean, yeah, in the last editions of the course, we've had a range of teams from the smallest to the largest, and everybody benefits from it. And we try to, I mean, we try now, we are always very aware of the fact that there are different types of teams, and yeah, and also if you come and you want to be active and follow homework and do homework with us week after week, people learn a lot by doing that. We will look after you, we will follow up, we'll give you our advice on what you've done, etc. So I suppose at the end of the day, how useful this is kind of up to the people who are in the course. It's very kind of full, like packed full with content, and then we try to guide you as much as possible. Yeah.
We have some companies, for example, in previous editions who always did the homework, right? So every week they would send us homework to correct. And of course, there were some people on the calls who would always have a question and always want to, put forward their opinions and everything, which is great, So don't be shy. We love to hear from you guys and we love to interact with you. So,
Okay, one maybe last question. Sorry.
yeah, we
Which
have time.
module-
We have
You
time.
can
Okay.
open the mics as well.
Yes, it's
It's
true. You
very
can open the
serious.
mics. I'll read
And-
this one, and then if you want to speak for
Yeah.
yourself, just do it. So, which module is about AI-based terminology extraction?
So normally we would talk about terminology extraction in the module related to workflows, but that is more an Elaine question, and maybe we don't know yet, and we have to come back to you on that one, Florin. Elaine, do you have any more feedback to give in this regard?
Yeah, I think we have some of it on terminology, I think in the second one also, and then in the workflow one, yeah. So 2 modules probably we look at it maybe from slightly different perspectives.
Elaine, are you excited to be taking part in the course?
I'm very excited actually. It's kind of a new experience for me, obviously, to be able to kind of work more in parallel, with other language service providers. Most of the time in the past, we've been working kind of towards a customer,
Yeah.
helping the customer along in their deployments and implementations. And at the same time, we've been working a lot directly with linguists to help them in terms of, post-editing training, educating them on MT and so on. So yeah, I think this is actually, I have, of course, also sat in on some of Lara's sessions from the last session. And I just love this kind of feeling of being almost, back at college a little bit, at university, the collaboration, the kind of informality of it, when you're kind of collaborating together with, in a way, colleagues, in the same field is actually a lovely experience, I have to say.
Excellent. That's
And the
exactly
homework.
what we want.
So yeah, some people, I think some of the companies got a lot out of it in the last couple of rounds, and they were super committed and they were producing amazing output. Whether you want to do it, you don't, of course, it's up to you. But if you do it, we will support you. That's basically, I suppose, what I can say.
I'm trying to work out how I can see who's still on the call here. I'm really, as you can tell, I'm not a power user when it comes to Zoom. But yeah, if anybody wants to say anything or say hello, please feel free. I think we've come to the end of our content for today. So we hope to see lots of you on September the 19th. We're here to answer any questions, any doubts. So yeah, we're at your disposal.
Okay, everyone. If no more questions, no more comments, then we will close our session and you'll be hearing from us. Obviously, we will send you the materials. And if you have any questions in the meantime, just feel free to send us an email or obviously DM on LinkedIn, anywhere you can find us. We're always aware of our communications to best serve you. So thank you so much for being here and have a wonderful week ahead. Thank you.
Take care, everybody. Have a good day.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks for
Bye.
joining. Bye-bye.